Meantime, other updates to discuss here in Washington, D.C., as the Supreme Court delivered a ruling backing the rights for LGBTQ Americans in regards to getting terminated at their place of work. And for more on that interesting update today, I want to get to Yahoo Finance's Alexis Keenan, who has more details on that ruling. Alexis?
Hey, Zach. Yeah, what the Supreme Court was addressing here today is really Title VII. It's part of that 1964 Civil Rights Act that prohibits employers from discriminating based upon race, color, religion, sex, and also national origin. And so what the Supreme Court was looking at here more specifically was how they interpret that word sex that appears under that law. Now, the employers in the cases of these three plaintiffs who were named in the lawsuit, who had lost their jobs based on two of the plaintiffs were gay. One was a transgender individual, and they were longtime employees who lost their jobs based on their sexual orientation. So the Supreme Court, the employers here in this case, they said that the drafters, when they wrote this law, that they meant only to prohibit gender-based discrimination, so male, female, and that this law would not therefore extend to gay individuals and transgender individuals. And in this 6-3 holding, the Supreme Court said, no, actually, Title VII does extend to sexual orientation and gender identity. And you don't have to have just either a single reason or that being the motivating factor for firing an employee or making an employment-based decision, that if it's part of it at all, that is not okay under the law. And so if we take a look at how many Americans this actually impacts, we can look at 2016 numbers, which is the latest data that Gallup has on the number of Americans who identify as either gay or transgender or bisexual. That's 4.1% of the American population as of 2016. That's about 10 million people. And if you look at the breakdown, it skews heavily. Many more millennials, those who are aged 22 to 40 right now, approximately, they identified a much higher rate as LGBT at 7.3%. And then if you look down at Generation X, 3.2%, baby boomers, 2.4%, and then traditionalists, they're at 1.4% identification in those categories. So it kind of suggests that there's a lot more people in the workforce, perhaps, than that 4.1% number suggests, but maybe slightly a bit higher number of people, number of Americans impacted by this new ruling by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, what about the significance to you, Alexis, of having the 6-3 vote there in support of this, as well as noted conservative judge, Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, too, but joining it and writing the opinion here, as well as being supported by Chief Justice John Roberts? I mean, a lot of people were surprised by that.
For sure, this was a 6-3 decision, and you had, of course, all the liberal members of the court, Ginsburg, Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan all siding, but then you had Gorsuch actually writing the opinion, and then also Roberts joining as well. And Roberts is always a question these days with, he's looked at as kind of a swing vote these days. So yeah, maybe a surprise to some, but definitely a change. And also, just last week, the Trump administration had issued a rule for the health department to look at that definition of sex and how it regards employment discrimination as just that male-female distinction. So that is not going to fly anymore, even though that was just a recent ruling that was passed down last week.
As progressive as the ruling is, we still did get the update, though, that Supreme Court would not be looking into qualified immunity, the controversial support given to police in a lot of these killings that we have now been highlighting here as the call for reform intensifies. But Alexis Keenan bringing us that Supreme Court update. Appreciate that.
Hey, investors, Zack Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.